All right, guess what? We're back. It is episode 4 of this Teague Take Marathon out in Waco, Texas at TapsCon 2024. Got another special guest coming on with you, but I just wanted to say I do appreciate everybody. I know you guys are popping in and out, and it's not what we normally do with Teague Take. We're normally on Wednesday nights, so we're shooting live there, so it's probably awkward and weird that you actually are listening to me broadcast, in the middle of the day. But I do think it's important when we're around this that we get to talk to coaches, athletic directors, administrators, principals, whatever it is, because they have so much knowledge. And a lot of us, since you're listening to this, you're a sports fan some kind of way, and so we're able to talk about a lot of different things. I want to say thank you to Teal Properties Group. They are the proud exclusive multimedia rights partner for TAPS and works nationally with more than 30 state high school athletic and activity associations. TPG delivers the leading marketing platform for brands to reach Gen Z customers alongside their families and communities. If you want to know more about them, go ahead and email Liz at taps.biz, Liz at tapps.biz. Go ahead and connect with them for your visionary brand to your high school, community in Texas, or nationwide. All right, so here's what we got today, man. Listen, sometimes I get really confused. You don't know how I am. I do this show with JT, my son, and he's always giving me information that I don't understand, right? So our guest here, his name is Robby Crihfield, right? Let me tell you a little bit about him first. He is the athletic director at Brazossport Christian School. That's in the Houston area, right?
An hour south, yeah.
An hour south. I guess it's considered Lake Jackson. Right.
Yep.
So he's there. He's been a coach before. He serves on the TAPS board here with me, one of our newest members there. He's an author, very excited to be able to talk about his book and what he's doing. He's already had a session where he talked about meaningful growth, right? With on how you do that with your life. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But the part that I got confused on, I need to ask you about this first, right? And so let me tell you what. I told you his last name was Crihfield, but it's spelled Crihfield. So where's the Critch? Yeah, the come from. How does that work?
Yeah, I don't know. I tell everybody when they ask me about it that I think my parents could have been lying to me this whole time. But that's how they say it. And I had one college professor, first day of school, call roll, and he said Crihfield, and it shook me. Like, how did you know that? And he was like, it's German. And I was like, it is. So apparently that's how you say it.
Yeah. So I've heard so many people say it before, and the cops on the board were saying it, and then I was looking at it, and I was like, somebody's not spelling this right, or we're not saying it right.
No, I don't get called Crihfield very often. It's normally something else.
Yeah, well, we go by Robby, and that's great. So thank you for this. So on my advertisement, I said it was 10 lies and the truth. Can you kind of talk to me about what you mean by this?
Yeah, so essentially the name of the book came from 10 lies that we often tell ourselves and that our society pushes on us that really holds us back from personal growth and professional growth and spiritual growth. And so there are 10 lies that really affected me. And how this all happened is about 4 or 5 years ago. I say probably 6 years ago, really. Man, I was at a loss for how to be a man in 2018, 2019. Had 2 new kids, been married for 4 or 5 years, I think, at the time. New athletic director position. I had my kids doing everything I was doing and saying. I had our kids at Brazossport Christian School doing and repeating everything that I say and act and do. And I got with my coaches one day and I was like, I'm not doing this right. Like, people are following me, and I don't think I'm leading them where I want them to go. I don't think I'm leading them where they should go. And then we kind of dove into scripture and dove into a bunch of different books from, R.C. Sproul to Spurgeon, Calvin, Luther, John MacArthur, and then went to Jocko Willink and Simon Sinek and Jordan Peterson, some of these personal growth guys. And then I started to realize that all of these virtues and principles that these secular authors who don't necessarily claim Christianity, I think some of them, if not all of them, probably are. They don't claim Christianity, but the things that they are claiming that will give you a full life and a purpose-driven life and a successful life are the exact same things that you can find in the New Testament when you're reading through Paul's letters and you're reading through the Gospel of Jesus. So I was like, that's odd that the secular, these secular driven principles line up with this biblical worldview. How does the secular worldview take this from the biblical worldview? So I started doing some research on it. I started reading and looking, and God like changed me from the inside out to where there's just this desire for truth. Jesus says that he's the truth, the way, and the life, and he is the truth. And when you know the truth will set you free. And that's what happened. So then I thought, man, if I can write all this stuff down so that way my kids, who are now 7 and 8, that way my kids can read through this stuff when they get older, maybe they can avoid some of the same pitfalls and some of the same stagnation and really some of the same nihilism, that I was involved in, just where everything was about me. And then I gave it the first chapter to my brother and a couple of friends of mine. And I was like, hey, will y'all read through this and make sure this is coherent? And I told them what it was. And so they read it, and they all, excuse me, all of them have the same thing to say. They were like, you should put this out for other people. If you think it's good enough for your kids, you should put it out for other kids. So then that's what I did. So I finished the book, and my wife edited it, and thank the Lord she edited it, because she makes me sound way better than I really am.
All right.
But that's it, man. And it has been life-changing for me. It's been life-changing for our athletic department, because we've taken that these last 4 or 5 years and really started to implement a lot of it into our program as well. And we're seeing boys turn into men and girls turn into women in front of our very eyes, the ones that really grab onto it, hold on to it. So
ain't that great?
No,
so
it's wild.
So the name of the book is 10 Lies and the Truth?
Yeah. 10 Lies and the Truth. So it's
okay.
Yeah.
And what do if someone's interested in knowing more about the book, where do they find it? How can they go buy it?
Yeah. So the book is on Amazon. So you put in your search 10 Lies and the Truth, and it'll be one of the top 3 or 4 things that come up. So I picked that name on purpose, so that way when people go on to look at it, it's a good name for the book too, because really the cool thing about the book, which was one of the cool things, you're a coach, I'm a coach. Like, we like to orchestrate, and we like to take chaos and put order into it and build stuff. So I actually built the book in the way that it takes a lie, and it takes what the world says about the lie, and then in the next portion of every chapter, it talks about what scripture says about that lie. So you've got 10 lies and the truth behind every single one of them.
It's awesome, man. That's pretty awesome, man. Make sure you guys support him with that and go get that. And thank you for sharing that and doing the work that you're doing at Brazossport. So I want to ask you about that. So you've been in education then for how long? I did not mention that.
Yeah. So I just finished 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. That was 14.
Really? You started with 8 and went all the way up to
14. No, I'm a coach, man. I'm not a math teacher. 14. Yeah. This was my 14th year. Yeah.
All right. And you've been athletic director at Brazossport for how many years?
For 8. Yeah. I just finished year 8.
All right. Well, that's cool, man. So you worked your way into the position to be able to come on to the TAPS board. How different is it for you to actually, one just being on the outside, I guess, to coming in? What kind of enlightenment have you had over the past year with sitting as a board member now?
Well, you said we only have 20 minutes, so I don't know how much I might fit in that, but man, it really has been a
Hold on a sec. Matt, you just gonna leave me hanging like that? You gonna give him dap and not even gonna give him, what is this, man?
that's
See,
messed up. He was trying to calm me down. Is what I was trying to do. He was like, Robbie's probably real nervous talking to George.
Sorry about that interruption, man. It's Matt Maple, so
No, man, so I mean 14 years in TAPS. I served on the AEC for I believe it was 3 years before this last year I was on the board. So I still had a good 10 years in TAPS before serving on any executive committee. And when you say enlightenment, like that's really what it is, because you don't know until you get in that room with you guys and all those the people, like, hey, you don't know the groundwork that's been put in, for years on this stuff that you just showed up and you don't like it, and you don't know why they're doing that way, but then you go on to these executive committees and you're like, oh, you know what? That's a great rule and we don't need to change that. Or, you know what? That was a good rule back in 1995. But I think we should look at that, and so before I got on the executive committee and even the board even more so, it was more of a flippant, like, man, why does it have to be this way? What are they doing? What do they even do? What is going on? And then I got on these committees and I was like, oh, not only is it not flippant, it's extremely well thought out. And not only is it well thought out, these people that are on the board are extremely intelligent, extremely experienced. Like, I'm the stupidest person in the room, which I talk about that in my book a little bit. I do that by design, so that way I can learn stuff. But no, and enlightening is a great word for it, because it's been, and when I applied to be on the board, I told them, I said, my kids are, I guess at that point they were 6 and 7 or 5 and 6. I was like, I intend for them to graduate from a TAP school. So I have firm investment in this organization, and I want to see it continue to grow like it has been and get better. And I think the board and the executive committee that we have is just prime for that. They do such a good job.
Thank you. And I do want to go ahead and say he said a couple acronyms, AEC for us in TAPS. That means the Athletic Executive Committee. And we as executive board members collaborate with them on the rules or ideas. Maybe that's the better way, because ultimately the executive board has the full and final authority when it comes to certain things that we have to talk about. So thank you for your service with that as well. So can you, for the people that are listening, how would you say that it makes you think about the NCAA? And all the stuff that they had to go through. That I'm saying that because maybe I have a guilty conscience of I don't know, being harsh on the NCAA with all the stuff going on with transfer rules, and I don't know what's going on. Then I have to backtrack and be like, man, I don't know what they're doing. So
yeah, no, that's a really good point, because I do the same thing. We do that as spectators all the time. We're like, how in the world can they allow this? Or how is it possible that we all know this school is doing this and they're getting away with it, And but man, when you're in charge of an organization that has this far of a reach and this many moving parts, like, you just can't flippantly do stuff. It affects stuff in the past. It affects stuff in the future. So, man, I'm the same way with the NCAA. I think every week I hear something. I'm like, why? What? How are you justifying that? But then I do the same thing. I'm like, you know what? I'm not in those board meetings. I don't know what's going on. I'm just like, it's always money. It's always money.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
we don't have that problem at TAP, so we don't.
No, that's right. That's right. So I give myself plug on that, because I am talking about NCAA rules, and I actually got a guest coming on Teague's Take on the 12th, Mario Morris, who is the CFO of the NCAA. Robbie, he's the senior administrator with them. So I don't have to guess, and you don't have to guess. If you better
write down all your questions.
You need to come in and get some of that. Yeah. We're not going to show film. We normally show film and all that kind of stuff and break down plays and all that, but we feel like there's going to be so much when you have someone inside an organization to be able to actually say what he can say, without getting himself in trouble about it. But he's very open, and he has agreed to come on to Teague's Take with us. So that's going to be really good. Okay, so what about coaching? So you said you've coached volleyball and track and field. How'd that start up for you? What made you really want to go down this path of coaching and administration?
Yeah, so coaching, man, I had really good coaches. I went to Brazossport Christian School in high school,
Okay.
So that's where I'm at right now as athletic director. And we had really good coaches there that really cared about us, that loved us, and it was never in question. They really cared about our future and invested in us, and I thought that was real cool. I always played sports my entire life. So then whenever I graduated college and getting my basics out of the way and stuff, I was trying to figure out what to do. And, I was like, I want to coach like they did. And I love hanging out with kids. They make me younger. I got to see gray hairs just like you do. And hanging out with kids makes me younger. And then really now this far removed from the original decision I made to coach, now it's like, not only they made me younger, like they are the future. And this is our calling from God to disciple these kids. And so that's the reason I got into it. Man, volleyball, I grew up next to Galveston, down in Lake Jackson. So I played sand volleyball growing up. My wife played volleyball for Brazossport, the 6A high school there. So volleyball was always kind of into my realm of influence and, and participation. So that's how I started coaching volleyball, because I played basketball my entire life too. But then whenever I started coaching basketball my first year, I was like, I don't think I want to put so much time into something that these referees can just, change the game every single game. This game is ticky-tack fouls. This game, they're getting murdered, and then this game, you can power dribble. This game, you can't jump stop. You can't. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So then I actually quit basketball and started coaching volleyball, and that was much more fun. Now I only get to yell at officials when they can't see, right? But no, honestly, I don't even coach volleyball anymore. I stepped away from volleyball 2 years ago, and now it's just track and field, which is wild because Coach Steve Howard was the athletic director at Live Oak Classical School here in Waco whenever I was working there, and he made me coach track with him. And
what was your specialty? What event you?
Oh no, I didn't run track.
No. So when you're
hurdles,
coaching
hurdles. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And then I was like, okay, hurdles are fun. Like I can do this. Like this is cool. So he taught me everything I knew about hurdles. And then whenever, he taught me everything I knew about a lot of things, to be honest with you. But then whenever I went to Brazossport Christian School, and it was a pretty small program, I remember telling the kids the same thing he told me. He said that small programs, track and field is your off-season program, because these kids they're not playing select sports, they're playing every sport. So there is no time outside of the summer to actually get bigger, faster, stronger, and more explosive. And by the very nature of what you do in track, you're working explosive movements. So he was like, at a small program, this is what you have to do. You build the track program, and the rest of it comes from there. So that's what we've done at BCS. And now we just celebrated our 4th straight championship for track and field, 1 in girls and 3 in boys.
Nice. Congratulations.
And the rest. I wish I had the rings I could show you. No, but and the rest of the sports are following suit, man. I mean, we're regional finals in just about every sport right now. We're going up to 2A, and I think we're going to be just as competitive there. Football team is going to be one to look out for sure. Football and baseball. We're right on the cusp of, like I said, those boys, man, is wild. Watching those boys grow into men right in front of your very eyes.
So tell me a little bit about. We got a couple minutes left. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Brazos? We got a lot of people that are moving around. We're always saying they're coming to Dallas, they're coming to Houston, they're coming down by the water down there by you or whatnot. What can you tell us about your campus?
Man. So Brazossport Christian School is in the middle of Lake Jackson, Texas. So there's no other. Angleton Christian School is about 10 minutes away, and they're a little bit smaller than us high school wise. But outside of that, the next closest Christian school you have, or private education that you really have, is Pasadena. So if you're moving down that way, we're definitely a great school to look at. I can tell you our academics are rigorous, and they are prioritized right under the kid's spiritual development. That is number 1. And then it's the family life, and your rest and your Sabbath, and being able to enjoy that. I'm as an athletic director, I've had to cut games and cut track meets and because we are overloaded. We realized a couple of years ago, we're overloading our kids and our families, and we're preaching to them that you need to observe a Sabbath and rest is important. But yet here we are scheduling 50, volleyball games or whatever. So we've had to cut that down dramatically, and the product has not changed, man. The product is still just as good. Like that's another one of those lies that you get told, and then you realize that there's a better way to do this kind of stuff. If you just follow what scripture says about it. So man, we're a gospel-centered campus, kingdom-minded, rigorous academics. And then I can honestly say these last 4 or 5 years, man, athletic program is booming. So it's a great place to be. Head of school is amazing. This is, I think, his 4th year coming into it, and he's the one who really prioritized this rest and family time. And I don't think he's going anywhere anytime too soon. So, yeah.
Well, I just mentioned that a second ago with our previous guest with Sheila Henderson. I think when you have yourself a line, whether or not I wrote mine down, I have my philosophy there. You know, it's the formation of our kids, Catholic term, spiritual well-being first, as you keep hearing these people say over and over and over again. And then the academics, how well are you preparing them for college and getting their mind right? And then you go worry about the sports.
Right.
Right.
Sports is the fun part.
We tend to get things out of order. And I think when you're in high school, particularly in private school, if you start to put things in the wrong order, put that athletics well up there before your faith or even before your academics, I think things go wrong. And that's when you don't compete as well. That's just me. I'm just saying. So
No, I agree.
Robby, I want to thank you for your time, man. Thank you for sharing. Make sure you guys go hit Amazon.
Yep.
Right. 10 Lies and the Truth, man. You got to get it. Support him very well. It'll be a good foundation for all of us. Just to remind us that while we're in this secular world, that we can still lean in our faith and find out what the truth is behind all of it. Man.
Yes,
So
sir. I appreciate you,
it,
George.
man. Thank you very much. With that, we're going to say thank you to him one more time. And we're going to be out.